Hi, all you music lovers out there. My name is Andy Rodriguez, also known as the Blackspinner. And if you're new to my channel, what I do here is that I go through my record collection in alphabetical and in chronological order. And today we are going to be doing part 2 of the letter Y. Part 1 of the letter Y consisted just of the band Yes. So today is going to consist of my second favorite artist right behind the Beatles. And that will be Neil Young and Crazy Horse. And I'll be going through the albums that I have by them. And also I'll be going through each key tracks. And also songs that I like and songs that maybe you might not have heard of. And maybe you might want to go ahead and stream. So that's what I do in this channel. I've already gone A through part 2 of Y. So if you're new to our channel, go ahead and enjoy this episode. And go on back and watch the previous episodes. So without further ado, let's get started. Neil Young, as a singer, songwriter, hard rock, classic rock, acoustic. I mean, we could go in so many different directions with Neil Young. And we will touch all the different directions that he has gone through as I'm going through my record collection. He started off as being one of the members of a late 1960s folk rock group called Buffalo Springfield. I talked about them briefly because I've only got about 2 or 3 Buffalo Springfield vinyls. I talked about them in the letter B. So let's get started with Neil Young solo and Neil Young with Crazy Horse. I grouped them up together. I put them in order, in chronological order, because you can't talk about Neil Young without talking about Crazy Horse. So let's get started. Neil Young's debut album. This will be a Neil Young solo album without Crazy Horse. And if you're familiar with Buffalo Springfield, this album has a little bit of Buffalo Springfield kind of flavor to it, which is a really good thing because Buffalo Springfield was a really good band. This was his debut album. And let's talk about the songs that are on here. The first song, of course, is The Emperor of Wyoming. Excuse me. It's a beautiful piece. There's no words in it, so it's an instrumental. It's kind of like country rock kind of flavor to it. And this album has a very good country rock sound to it. The songs on here are also The Loner, which if you're a Neil Young fan, you are very familiar with the song The Loner. This was released on his debut album. Also, If I Can Have Her Tonight's a really good song. I've Been Waiting for You, and The Old Laughing Lady. And What Did You Do to My Life? And I've Loved Her So Long. And there's quite a bit songs on his debut album that are really good. And it ends with A Last Trip to Tulsa, which is The Last Trip to Tulsa. If you're familiar with Neil Young, you will hear it and think about his later acoustic songs, story songs that became prevalent, especially on albums like On the Beach, where he does that quite a bit on side 2. But his debut album is a really good debut album, his solo debut, and it's really good. And he shows off a little bit of his guitar, but he really shows off his ear for music. It's really good. And what I have here is another debut album with Neil Young and Crazy Horse. This will be their debut album. Everybody knows this is Nowhere. And this is just this was one of my favorite Neil Young albums for a while. Let's go over the tracks. Side 1 has Cinnamon Girl, which is just one of his first breakout songs. And everybody knows this is Nowhere, which was also featured in the movie Almost Famous. But that is one of my favorite songs by him. Down by the River is a 9-minute epic guitar workout, which is a really good song. And the subject matter, it's a little touchy, but listen to it, and it's a story that you can follow along. Now, side 2 starts off with The Losing End. When You're On. The Losing End is one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite album tracks by Neil Young and Crazy Horse. It's a wonderful story. and it's great. And this ends with the wonderful, wonderful Cowgirl in the Sand. The guitar breaks on there, the guitar solos. He does 2 long solos. I believe that song goes ends up almost at 8 or 9 minutes. And this is a really good album. You want to hear Neil Young on his guitar, and with Crazy Horse, not just keeping the beat, but even pushing the beat and helping Neil Young come along on his solos. Man, you know, Neil Young and Crazy Horse, when they get together, it's a really good sound. It's a party. It really is. And after that, he went a little solo, and on this album, a lot of people think of this as being one of his best, and I am along with them. This will have backup harmonies, also by Crosby, Stills, and Nash on here. I'm talking about After the Gold Rush. There it is. And I had read somewhere that this album was released. He was married to an actress who was older than him, and the album signifies them going in separate ways. See how he's going this way, and there's a picture of an older lady going the other way. And it's called After the Gold Rush. Here's the back of it, and here's the inside of it. A great picture of him. It really is. The inside of it. And I might even name every single song on this album. And this album does have a cover, and I'll touch on that in just a moment. But this has songs like Tell Me Why, which is a great song. The album track, After the Gold Rush, where he plays piano and organ. And also Only Love Can Break Your Heart, and also a great song called Southern Man, which will get him in a little bit of hot water with Leonard Skinner. But all that, everyone's heard about the feud between Leonard Skinner and Neil Young, but it seemed like the press had more of was making more of a feud than it really was. Both of these artists really did respect each other. Neil Young respected Leonard Skinner, and Leonard Skinner, gave that respect right back to him. Until the Morning Comes, it's another good little ditty. It really is. And on side 2, we have a cover of a country song by Don Gibson called Oh Lonesome Me. Oh Lonesome Me is just a wonderful breakup song. It just is. And Don't Let It Bring You Down, and Birds, and When You Dance, I Could Really Love, and I Believe in You. Another heartbreaker. This is really a heartbreaking song, or a heartbreaking album. It is. And it just seems like the outlook was so bleak, but he did it so beautifully. And after that will be his breakout album. His breakout album being Harvest. Yeah, this was a big album for him. One of his most popular albums. Here's the inside of it. And this one is recorded with one of the bands that he will get together with here and there between the years, called the Stray Gators. And also on backing vocals on a couple of these songs, you will hear Linda Ronstadt and James Taylor. And let's go through the songs, because this is just a fantastic album. I've seen Neil Young about 3 times live. And the first time I saw him live, it was a solo show where he played acoustic guitars and pump organ and piano and solo. And he started off that show with the first song on this album called Out on the Weekend. And then you go and track number 2, oh my god, I'm not going to go to side 2 yet, is the title track Harvest. Love that song. Another good country rock sound. And A Man Needs a Maid. He's on piano, and his great buddy Jack Nitschke has this full-blown orchestra on this song. It took me a while to get used to that song, A Man Needs a Maid, but Throughout the years, it's really grown on me, and the words are just beautiful. And Heart of Gold, of course, was one of his big hits. I want to say yes, Heart of Gold was his only number one song. And this also ends with Are You Ready for the Country, which is wonderful. And side two, yeah, we're not through yet. Old Man Alabama, which was another song that started to poke at the hornet's nest called Leonard Skinner. The Needle and the Damage Done, another great song about the use of heroin, which he's totally against it, and what it has done to a lot of his friends. And also, this ends with a song that a lot of people that are Neil Young fans are like, oh, I don't like that song, this and that. I love it, Words. I love the song Words, and it's got Crosby, Stills, I think it's just Crosby and Nash on backing vocals on that album. I'm sorry, on that song. And next is a odd album that was released. It's a double album. I want to call it live because it's not live. A couple of tracks are live. Specifically side one, which has live Buffalo Springfield. I'm talking about Journey Through the Past with Neil Young. There's the cover. Here's the back of it. The interesting part about this, here's the inside of it. As you can tell, it's a double. The interesting part of this is it's such a hodgepodge of different songs just thrown in together. You'll hear a half of a song and then ending with another one. You can say this is kind of a recap of his career during the first 4 years, I believe. And this is going to have live versions of For What It's Worth, and it's going to go into Mr. Soul. Rock and Roll Woman, which is going to have Stephen Stills singing, and Find the Cost of Freedom, and Ohio, just a little snippet of Ohio going into Southern Man. You see, if you're a Neil Young fan, you're like, wow, that sounds pretty neat, and it is. It's a really good listen. Are You Ready for the Country in Alabama? Is on here, and also Words. Words takes up all of a side on this album, and A Soldier and Let's Go Away for a While. And in fact, let me see here. The Beach Boys also make an appearance on here on the song Let's Go Away for a While. It is produced by Brian Wilson. So this is an interesting listen to, and it's wonderful. After that, Neil Young started getting beat up by the press. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? We want another Harvest. And that really irritated him because he didn't want to be put in a pigeonhole of being a singer-songwriter. So he did as much as he can to stay away from Harvest Part 2, which he will do Harvest Part 2 called Harvest Moon, probably about 20 years down the road. This one, Time Fades Away. It has really good songs on it. And it was dismissed by critics, and I don't know why. Let's go through the song. Time Fades Away. Journey Through the Past was an older song that he had done in the early 70s. And you will hear that in a lot of different live versions because Neil Young has put out different series during the past 10 years of live recordings, and that pops up quite a bit. Also, LA is really good. Love in Mine. Don't Be Denied is a really good song. It tells a story, the first couple of verses of his childhood. And Last Dance is a really good song. And parts of this is live. And all these were making its first appearance on an album. So he had played, a new album live, which I had seen before when I went to go see the second time I saw him was Neil Young and Crazy Horse when they did Greendale, and the album hadn't even been released yet. And we sat down and heard a whole album. It was fantastic. And then afterwards he'll throw in a couple of his hits, but for the most part we were there. to hear a whole new album, and that's what this reflects as well. This is a whole new album that was recorded live in front of a audience. After that, to go, this was called the Ditch Trilogy, that the critics or whoever had called it that way because they say, I guess he was trying to ditch his career. But this is my favorite career era by Neil Young, was that one, and then the second one, On the Beach. Man, I remember I had recommended this to my uncle Jason, and he loved it. But yeah, On the Beach, let's go through these songs. Walk On, See the Sky About to Rain. Such a great song. And Revolution Blues. And the first side one will have different band members from the band. You will have Rick Danko, and you will have Levon Helm play on side one of this whole album. Revolution Blues. A lot of people have said that song was about how Charlie Manson will try to hang out with all the musicians before the murders and before he went on a killing spree. And a lot of people have said, well, not a lot of people, but I've read and heard that's what had really made Charles Manson very angry, was not being accepted in the Laurel Canyon musicians group, pack of groups. And for the Turnstiles, Vampire Blues is a really good bluesy song. And side two, we're getting into the apocalyptic acoustic guitars, Being on the Beach, Motion Pictures, and Ambulance Blues. You know, when I go through my top 20 albums of all time, I don't know I know there's going to be a Neil Young, and I just don't know which one. I'm driving myself crazy. But this might be in consideration. This is a really good album. Love it. And after that came one of his biggest hits. That was not a hit when it was initially released. It took time. It took years. And, you know, at the time, Neil Young had a lot of loss. He was going through a divorce. You know, he lost a couple of good friends to drug use. And I'm talking about Tonight's the Night. This is, wow. This has no hope whatsoever. And that's the back of it. Here's the inside of it. And let's go through these songs and let's talk about them. Tonight's the Night. This will be the first time that he will release an album where the song will bookend the album. The opening and ending will be the same song. Different variations of it. Tonight's the Night, Speaking Out Loud, Rolled on a String, Borrowed Tune. I like that song. Come On Baby, Let's Go Downtown, which is sung by Danny Whitten, I believe. Is it Danny Whitten? And he was one of his buddies that was in Crazy Horse, and he had passed away from an overdose. I'm sorry about the lights here. I'm losing power in and out. And side two, Roll Another Number, which is just great. I've seen him play that one live. Albuquerque, Tired Eyes, which became one of my favorites on his compilation Decade. And then I went back and I heard it on here, and yeah, Tired Eyes, it's a really good song. And it's bookended by Tonight's the Night. And next we have an album that kind of starting to be an uplifting album in his standards. The sounds are not as bleak. The sounds are a little bit more jovial. And that's the great thing about Neil Young. You go through his moods, you go through his storytelling, you go through his life, pretty much. Neil Young and Crazy Horse. He's back with Crazy Horse for Zuma. This is a wonderful album. Again, this was one of my favorite albums for a while, and I haven't heard it in a while. It sounds like it's something I need to go through. Let's go with the songs. It starts off with Don't Cry No Tears. It goes straight, and then after that goes into Danger Bird, which Danger Bird is kind of like a bluesy song. And Pardon My Heart, which is a very slow acoustic love song. and it picks back up with Looking for a Love and Barstool Blues. I mean, Crazy Horse. It's not like they go crazy on those songs, but man, they keep such a great rhythm on there. Side 2, you're going with Stupid Girl, Drive Back, and of course, one of his most epic songs with Crazy Horse being Cortez the Killer. It's such a great song with a great guitar solos. It harks back to the Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere album, and it ends with his old buddies Crosby, Stills, and Nash doing great harmony on Through the Sails, which is just a beautiful acoustic ballad with his buddies just singing with him. And when this show is over, I am going to throw on Zuma and hear it again, because like I said, I haven't heard it in a while. And after that, came out another album by Neil Young. He went solo on this one. Even though Crazy Horse doesn't make an appearance, Linda Ronstadt is on here, and so is Nicolette Sheridan. We'll talk about Stars and Bars. This does not get talked about as much as it should. And let's go through these songs, shall we? And a couple of these songs that are on this album were written and recorded a few years earlier than when this was released. This was released in 1976, and we all know Neil Young. He will record albums, scrap them, and start over. So these are a couple of songs that were left out. And let's get started on these songs. I was just reading a little something here that says, Lyndon Johnson bared his scars, American Stars and Bars. Lyndon Johnson, of course, being our president in the 60s after Kennedy, between Kennedy and Nixon. So let's go through these songs. On side 1, Old Country Waltz is really good. Saddle Up the Palomino, Hey Babe, Hold Back the Tears, and Bite the Bullet's okay. Just doesn't sound right with those other songs. It would have been better if it was on the other side, but nevertheless, it's still a good song. And let's flip it. And the flipping it, you get a whole barrage of things. You get Star of Bethlehem, which is another ballad, and then Like a Hurricane, just a full blown out Neil Young and Crazy Horse with 2 solos on it. We are going at about 8 minutes on this song again. You know, you get so much from Neil Young. You can get his pleasant, acoustic rock or ballads, and just your hard, heavy guitar going crazy. Crazy Horse. And this one was from 1976. And after this, he was on a little bit of a downswing when it came to sales. And so was his buddy, Stephen Stills. So they got together to record an album. And this is the Stills and Young Band. Long May You Run being a wonderful title track by Neil Young. I've heard a little bit of this. Well, not a little bit. I've heard it, and it's not one of my favorites. So, I'm not going to talk that much about this one, but Long May You Run, I really love it. That's one of my favorite songs by Neil Young. Top 10 songs. But, other than that, it's just a lackluster affair by both. But he will bounce back. Just like when I'm going to be going through these albums, we're going to see Neil Young bouncing back quite a bit. Because there's ups and downs, and that's what makes an artist. And that's what's great following these guys and girls. Following these bands, going through changes in their lives, and it's reflected in their music. That's what makes rock and roll real. Neil Young, Comes a Time. This went back a little bit into his Harvest sound. But I don't know. Well, of course, I like Harvest better, but this one is not bad at all. This does have Crazy Horse on a couple of songs. Going Back, Comes a Time. Look Out for My Love. It's in Your Neighborhood. Lot of Love, which is a great song, which Nicolette Sheridan went ahead and recorded it and kind of made it her own and turned it into a disco song in the late 70s. Peace of Mind, it's a great song, Peace of Mind. It's a great acoustic song. And you flip it and you got Human Highway, Already Won, Field of Opportunity, Motorcycle Mama. This ends with a cover, which Neil Young does not do that many covers, but For Strong Winds. That was by Ian Tyson. Yeah, that's For Strong Winds. It's just a beautiful song. I can't say enough words about For Strong Winds by Neil Young. And Neil Young will release a compilation called Decade. This is a 3-album compilation. It's where I got started with Neil Young. I've also got this on a double CD. I got started with Neil Young on this. And yes, a lot of people do put out compilations. But the way Neil Young does it, you're going to get, hits, album tracks, couple of songs that were with Buffalo Springfield, one song that was with Crosby, Stills and Nash, and about 3 unreleased songs. And the unreleased songs were not like other unreleased songs. These were top-notch Neil Young. They really were. Let's go through these songs real quickly. Down to the Wire, which was, I believe that was unreleased because I didn't hear it any other way. And Burned. And Mr. Soul, which was with Buffalo Springfield, is on here. Broken Arrow and Expecting to Fly, both of those were with Buffalo Springfield. And that was side 1, I believe. It's kind of hard to read these because these are handwritten in cursive. So let me take this out so I can see it better. Oh, this also has, the first time it was released on any album was Sugar Mountain, which is one of his beloved songs. And this was the first time that it was released on anything. As far as I know, because I've got most of his albums, and I never saw it any other time but on Decade. So this is really worth getting. It's not like a regular compilation. And let's go to side 2 of album 1, I Am a Child, which was a song with Buffalo Springfield. And let's go with, his debut album has The Loner, the Old Laughing Lady, and then this will also go to Cinnamon Girl and Down by the River off of Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. I'm telling you, this Decade album, this is a really good starting point for Neil Young. If you can find it, or if you're streaming music, stream Decade by Neil Young. It will make you a fan. I really do guarantee that. Side 3, Cowgirl in the Sand, and I Believe in You, After the Gold Rush, Southern Man, and Helpless. Helpless was a song that was on Crosby, Stills and Nash on the album called Deja Vu. Really good stuff. And on side 4, Ohio Soldier, which was another unreleased song. I'm just going to go through every song on Decade because they have to be talked about. Oh Man, A Man Needs a Maid, Harvest, Heart of Gold, and Star of Bethlehem. Star of Bethlehem was recorded earlier. That's why it's grouped together with Harvest, even though it was just released in 76 instead of, I believe Harvest was 72. And then let's go to side 5. Why not, right? Let's keep going. Side 5, this is going to have The Needle and the Damage Done. Tonight's the Night, Tired Eyes, like I had spoken before. That's where, of course, it's on Tonight's the Night, but this is where I was introduced to it, was on Decade. Walk On, For the Turnstiles. Winter Long. Winter Long was another non-album track. Also, Deep Forbidden Lake. It's kind of a light song, but it's still okay. Like a Hurricane, Love is a Rose, which was not released until here. Campaigner was not released until here. And this ends with Long May You Run. I'm telling you, you need to hear Decade, and it will make you a Neil Young fan. And I hope that y'all take the time to hear it, because it is made to be respected and heard of. Let's see, I think this might have a booklet to it. Here, bear with me, guys, because sometimes there's these little books that I don't know about. Okay, it's just a bookend. Okay. And I'm just shoving things in there because I still have a long way to go. And here I'm going to have a live album that was recorded live. And this is Neil Young and Crazy Horse, Rust Never Sleeps. This was my favorite for a while. It was. Side 1 was all acoustic by himself. And let's go through the songs. Hey, Hey, My, Out of the Blue. After that's Thrasher. Thrasher is one of my favorite songs by Neil Young. And sometimes I feel that he's talking to Crosby, Stills, and Nash in that song there. Because he says certain things about them not wanting to take risks. And that they want to stay with the old repertoire. That they didn't want to move forward in music. That's how I heard it. This has Ride My Llama and Sail Away. And of course, one of his best songs, one of the most beloved songs, Pocahontas, which tells the flight of the Native Americans. And on side 2, come on, Crazy Horse, let's join in. This is just so good and so electric. Let's go with one of my favorite songs by Neil Young, being Powderfinger. Well, for Mother's okay. And Sedan Delivery is really good guitar on there. And this ends with Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black. And this one's done with a full Crazy Horse sound. And this starts with Hey, Hey, My, Into the Blue, which is just done acoustically by himself. Another album that has the bookends on it. And after that, he will come out with a double live album. We all know how much I love the double live album. I'm talking about Live Rust. This was one of my first purchases of Neil Young's. How much? I think I paid, $8 for this. I bought this one in Austin. I still remember because the sticker's on there. Here's the inside of it. That's a really good picture. So this is Neil Young with Crazy Horse. Oh, geez. Sugar Mountain, I Am a Child, Comes a Time, After the Gold Rush, Hey, Hey, My, Out of the Blue. And then that's all acoustic. And then Crazy Horse will join him. And I mean, I know that it seems like I'm reading every song on these albums, but I am, because they're just that good. When You Dance, I Can Really Love, The Loner, The Needle Damage Done, Lot of Love, Sedan Delivery, Powderfinger, Cortez the Killer, Cinnamon Girl. Such a great version of Like a Hurricane. I mean, this band, Crazy Horse is just on fire on this album. Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black, and then ends with Tonight's the Night. Another great album by Neil Young and Crazy Horse. I just can't say enough. So much stuff was going on there in the 70s. So much were such big hits for him. And then we're getting into the 80s. And 80s, he will make one more album with his previous label, and he will make Hawks and Doves, right? I forgot what this was. Yeah, Hawks and Doves, which I need to admit, I've never really heard it that much, but I did hear this recently, and I was pleasantly surprised. Maybe because I'm getting older, but this album is a lot better than what it was, than I thought it was. But Little Wing, The Old Homestead, and Captain Kennedy. Captain Kennedy is a song that came out again on a couple of different compilations. Well, not compilations, but proper albums. If this makes sense. Proper albums that were recorded in the mid-70s that did not come out until the 2010s. And side 2, Coastline and Union Man. But yeah, this this is just okay. So, and after that, Neil Young will have his whole band Crazy Horse come back out, and they will do Reactor. This album here is kind of a letdown. But you know, you're getting to the 80s, and Neil Young is starting to branch out. He's trying to find different sounds, and not just different sounds. I read a Neil Young book that he had written, which was released a few years ago, and how he really started to be very interested in electronics, and he started to put this essence into the music, and came up with kind of up and down results. The songs on here that I like is Surfer Joe and the Mo Sleaze is really good. T-Bone is one of the dumbest songs I've ever heard. I'm sorry. Southern Pacific and Shots. It ends with Shots, which is a really good song. Just that on T-Bone, just over and over repeats himself. T-Bone, I got a T-Bone but no mac. Or I got mashed potatoes but no T-Bone. How's it go? Oh, got mashed potatoes, ain't got no T-Bone. Got mashed potatoes, mashed potatoes, ain't got no T-bone. That's repeated over and over. Those are the whole lyrics. It's repeated over and over around a groove. Got mashed potatoes, but ain't got no T-bone. And after that will be one of the famous albums by Neil Young, and not famous for a good reason. This is where he really started to lose a lot of people. And he had switched labels, and he was with Geffen, and Geffen had wanted him to make another Harvest and to go ahead and make more Neil Young like albums. So he did an album that he sings through a vocoder throughout the whole thing. So it's going to be a electronic robotic voice. It was very hard to understand him, but he has two boys, I believe, that have cerebral palsy, and one of them speaks through a vocoder, and I had read that he made this album for him, and that's why he did it that way, so that he can show his son that he's not different at all, which you got to commend him. He does do a couple of songs on here that are good in other settings, like Transformer Man. You know, he's singing through a vocoder, but Transformer Man will come out again on Neil Young Unplugged in the 90s, and it's a beautiful song. Computer Cowboy is alright. He also does a cover of not a cover, but he does Mr. Soul again in that kind of way. And he's using a lot of electronics on this album. A lot of electronics. Niels Lofgren is on here, and Ralph Molina, Frank Shapiro, and Billy Talbot. You know, those three guys, Molina, Shapiro, and Talbot, are Crazy Horse. So, you know, he's still employing a lot of good friends. And Bruce Palmer was from Buffalo Springfield, and Niels Lofgren, you know, will go on to play with him several times, but he's also and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. But one thing about Neil Young, he never leaves his friends behind. So you will see the same names and the same musicians on almost each album. That album was alright. This one just lost me. It really did. I lost a lot of people, and he kind of stuck it to the Geffen record company. Neil and the Shocking Pinks, which is a 1950s rave up album. All the songs are 1950 rockabilly songs, which he doesn't do rockabilly that well. Betty Lou's Got a New Pair of Shoes. Payola Blues, kinda, Fonda, Wanda was okay. Bright Lights Big City was good. But yeah, and Everybody's Rockin'. I know I called out 4 songs on here, which is a good chunk for an album, but you know, when I'm talking about Neil Young, you know, Like I did before, I read almost every song on the albums. But yeah, no, I don't play this one that much at all. So Geffen was saying, give me something that is like Harvest. Go back to your country ways. So he gives them an all country album. And not an uplifting country album. Like as country western as you can get for the mid 80s. Songs on here. Actually, I believe, even... Ooh, I think Willie Nelson is on here. Willie Nelson is on this album. Maybe even Waylon Jennings is also on here. But the songs on here, Get Back to the Country. Are There Any Real Cowboys? Maybe. There was an interesting song on here that was very weird. It was about boxing. About boxing in outer space or something like that. Yeah, but there's the inside of it. Yeah, Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson are on this album, and so is Lynn Anderson. I didn't know Lynn Anderson was on here. Lynn Anderson was Lynn Anderson was a top female country western singer from the 70s. And I didn't know she was on here. You find out something new every time. And here is going to be another album that Neil Young did that is abnormal for him. But this is my favorite album by him in the 80s. He was very much into Kraftwerk at the time and Devo and the new wave sound. Neil Young, Landing on Water. I really like this album. I remember when I had bought it on CD because it was cheap and I just wanted to add to my Neil Young collection. And man, I really like this album. Let's go through these songs. Weight of the World, Violent Side, Hippie Dream, Bad News Beat, Touch the Night, People on the Street, Hard Luck Stories. Don't give me hard luck stories, and I won't give you mine. I Got a Problem. Pressure and Drifter. This whole album is really good. It's highly, highly underrated, ignored for no reason at all because it's packed in with, very abnormal sounding Neil Young albums. But, if you're a Neil Young fan, this is a really good album, and I recommend it. This one I do recommend. Next, Neil Young will get together, back together with his old band, Crazy Horse. And this album, I want to love it. I tried so many times to love this album. Songs on here: Mideast Vacation, Inca Queen, Prisoners of Rock and Roll. Yeah. Man, I just really want to love this album. And I've tried so many times, but this might be one of the least of my, with Neil Young and Crazy Horse. And of course, in Neil Young fashion, he will come out with a all blues album. Neil Young and the Blue Notes. This Note's for You. He actually won for MTV's Video of the Year for the album track. This Note's for You. The songs on here: This Note's for You, Life in the City, Can't Believe You're Lying. Yeah, this this just wasn't something that I really enjoyed by him. And I do like blues music. His voice doesn't suit it. He doesn't have the feel for it. I just didn't like it. But you know what? That's alright. But I like the artist. After that will come 1990. A Whole New World. It's like he woke up or something happened. This will be his turn of the decade. Freedom by Neil Young. This will have another bookend songs, I believe. Is it? Is it bookended by Rockin' in the Free World? I believe it is. This is bookended by Rockin' in the Free World. Rockin' in the Free World, side 1, a la Hey Hey My, will be done in acoustic. Side 2, it will end again with Rockin' in the Free World, with it all full out hard rock band behind him. The songs on here are getting better all the time. Crime in the City is really good. Don't Cry, Hanging on the Limb, El Dorado with that boom boom boom, with that great little riff he does. The Ways of Love is really good too. This album, Someday, and he does a cover of On Broadway and No More and Too Far Gone, and then he ends it with Rockin' the Free World. Too Far Gone was a song that was also recorded in the late 70s and didn't find home until here, and then found home again in his latest releases for what he's doing with different projects right now. And he will get back together with Crazy Horse. He'll be doing this throughout his career. And this is one of my favorites by Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Sometimes one of my favorite albums by them. Ragged Glory. Love this album to death. I just do. The songs on here. Here's the back of it with Crazy Horse. The songs on here, let's go over them. Just so much good stuff on here. Back on Reprise, Where He Belongs. Let's go with Country Home, White Line, which was an earlier song from the mid-70s, and it was him and Robbie Robertson from the band on guitar singing acoustically. This has a full-out Crazy Horse sound to it. Fucking Up is on here, which is a favorite of Pearl Jam to play on their own. Over and Over, which is a beautiful song, just is. Love to Burn is a really good song. Mansion on the Hill, Days That Used to Be, Love and Only Love. And also this has one of the beginnings of him singing Mother Nature songs, which I did not dig that much. I don't dig his Mother Nature songs. I'm all for nature, but I don't like to hear the songs about it. And next we'll have Neil Young with Crazy Horse again. He's on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. He is on a roll. And he does this Sleeps with Angels. A lot of people say that this was dedicated to Kurt Cobain. This was released in 94. And Cobain had passed away in early 94. This album's alright. My Heart, Prime of Life, Drive By, Sleeps with Angels is really good, but side 2. One song takes up side 2. Change Your Mind. Expecting you. Change your mind. Hoping you. Change your mind. This also has Piece of Crap and A Dream That Can Last and Trans Am. Yeah. This is a really good album. It's one that I need to listen to more often. But I know that when I put it on, I do enjoy it. It kind of reminds me, the feel and the sound of it. I'm not comparing it to Tonight's the Night, but it's got that kind of feel. It's got that kind of aura to me. And after that, Neil Young will get together with Pearl Jam and they will release a single. And they liked it so much they went ahead and recorded a whole album called Mirror Ball. This is pretty much what you would think it is. It's Neil Young with Pearl Jam being the backing band. Instead of using Crazy Horse, he uses Pearl Jam on here. And this was released in, I believe, 95. So Pearl Jam had already released Vitology, I believe. And let's go through the songs on here. Throw Your Hatred Down these songs are really rocking, and they really give Neil Young room to really spread his guitar solos and his lyrics. What happened yesterday is a beautiful little pump. I believe it's a water pump organ. Peace and Love, Downtown, which they made a video for that, which is pretty good. Song X and Act of Love on side 1, and side 2 will have a couple of good songs. I'm the Ocean and Truth Be Known. Truth Be Known doing it in a lower register on guitars and bass by Jeff Ament and Jeff Gossard, and of course, is it Jeff Gossard? No, not Steve Gossard. Mike McCready. Thank you. And Neil Young. It sounds great. It really does. A lot of people thought, oh, well, with Neil Young and Pearl Jam, they were expecting a better album, I guess. I don't know, but I love it. It's exactly what I wanted to hear when I heard Neil Young and Pearl Jam were getting together. It's exactly what I heard. And what I have next is a controversial album by Neil Young. This came out in the height of the Bush era. Talk about living with war. If you're a Republican, you don't want to hear this album at all. But I love this album. I really enjoyed it. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I see things my own way. But this is a really good album. I really enjoyed it. It talks a lot about the soldiers that are out to war during the after 9/11, and we went into the Iraqi war with George W. The songs on here are pretty blatant and pretty much against what George W. had decided to do, but that's the invasion. Oh, well, I'm not going to get into it. Let's just talk about this album. After the Garden, Living with War, Restless Consumer, and Shock and Awe. Really good songs. Families. Talks about the families that are left here while soldiers go out to war. Flags of Freedom, Let's Impeach the President, which is, of course, exactly what it sounds like. Looking for a Leader. Roger Now, it's a really good song, and America the Beautiful, which is sung by a children's choir. And I read all the songs on here because this is, no matter how you view politics, let me go back to what I said earlier. No matter how you view politics, this is a time capsule of an album of what was going on at that time during 2001, 2008. And next I have this will be his one and only covers album called A Letter Home, which was recorded in the phone booth done by Jack White for Third Man Records. This was reproduced by Jack White and Neil Young, and I had bought this one. I believe I bought this when I was in Memphis, Tennessee. The songs on here, A Letter Home, which is an intro. It's really touching to hear because, his mother had passed away, and he's writing a letter to his mom and talking about it, and sharing his conversation with his mother, and it's very touching. Changes, Girl from North Country by Bob Dylan, Needle of Death. That's such a haunting song. And there's a Early Morning Rain by Gordon Lightfoot that he does, and a wonderful, wonderful cover of Crazy by Willie Nelson. Of course, it was made famous by Patsy Cline, but he really does a really good cover of it. On side 2, he does Willie Nelson's On the Road Again, and another Gordon Lightfoot song, If You Could Read My Mind, which was Gordon Lightfoot's one of his biggest hit songs. And also My Hometown, which is really good. My Hometown, of course, being done by Bruce Springsteen off the Born in the USA. And Neil Young really does a really good song to it. A really good cover of it. Now, I do need to warn you, if you hear this, it's going to sound like it was recorded in the 1940s with a lot of crackling. His voice is a little far back because he's doing this on inside a phone booth converted into a recording studio. And when we had gone to Detroit to Third Man Records, it was me, my wife, and my friend's family, the Markentels, and we went, and they had a booth similar to this one that you can record a song, and you can record it onto vinyl. It was like $10, but it was out of order, so I wasn't able to do that. So I've got 2 more albums to go through, and I saved these for the last because I didn't know where to put these or where to put these in. And when I had bought these, they were bootleg albums. And this is the complete Neil Young live at the Los Angeles Music Center, February 1st, 1971. There's the back of it. The songs on here, Tell Me Why, A Man Needs a Maid, A Heart of Gold, Journey Through the Past, Cowgirl in the Sand, all these done acoustically. Don't Let It Bring You Down, Love in Mind, Sugar Mountain Again, See the Sky About to Rain, which we talked about earlier. They did not see the live date till 1974. I Am a Child, The Damage Done in Ohio. And yeah, when I bought it, the description was bootleg. I haven't found it anywhere else. So, I'm just going by what was advertised. And here, I got a double live Neil Young album, which I've heard again that this was bootlegged. He's got the band Firefall with him on here. The songs on here, the title of the song says even Richard Nixon's got it, which really is Campaigner. They just got the names on this wrong. They got Pocahontas on here, but they have it as Marlon Brando, Pocahontas, and Me. You see, the titles are just a little bit off. It's got Human Highway, After the Gold Rush, Too Far Gone, and Old Man. A Man Needs a Maid, Sugar Mountain Again, Country Home, and Don't Cry No Tears. This has A Lot of Love instead of A Lot of Love. Down by the River, Like a Hurricane. Side 4 is going to be Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues, which Neil Young will do again for Bob Dylan's 30th anniversary party. And Just Like a Rolling Stone, he does on here as well. When you pull these out, it just says Special Disco Mixer Bits and Pieces 80s Medley. Which I don't know what that is. And I had to put with white out the sides. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'll know what sides I was listening to. But this is the songs on the album, just that the label shows something else. So I don't know what to make of it. That's why I went ahead and saved these for the last, because I didn't know where they came from or what they were. But all I know is that I have them, and they're really good, and I really do enjoy them. Well, that is my Neil Young and Crazy Horse collection. I really hope that y'all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you. I really hope that if you don't know who Neil Young is or haven't really heard Neil Young, give Decade a shot. And I guarantee you, you'll be going backwards and forwards in the Neil Young collection, just like I did. Well, guys, until our next episode where we will be getting to the letter Z. And that is going to be divided into 2 episodes. One episode being dedicated to the great Frank Zappa, and the other episode being dedicated to the great little the little band from Texas called ZZ Top. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves and keep rocking. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment, and I will see you guys next time. And when I'm finished with the Z's, that's not goodbye for me. I've got compilations to go through, and I've also got movie soundtracks to go through. And I'm still debating if I'm going to go through my cassettes and through my CDs. I don't see why not. We've got the time, right? So I will see you guys next time. Take care of y'all selves.